All right, we got a blooper reel. All right, so we're back with Dansfish.
Hello.
And there's a lot of interest on how you run this facility as far as filtration. So Dan's gonna give us a quick run through, and it's pretty impressive, so I hope you like it.
All right, let's start here. This is the beginning. So this creek is our water source. It's very, very low right now, but it still works just fine. So this is Little Goose Creek. And what you're looking at here, these pipes all underneath us, we have about 80 feet here of well. So there's probably 15 feet of gravel underneath me, and the water runs from the creek through the gravel into a bunch of pipes that are put across underneath us here. Those all feed into a big tank, and from that tank, the water, and I'm pointing there because those pipes sticking up, that's where the pumps are, that's where the well is. It's collected there and then it's pumped up to the warehouse. So we're taking water from the creek, kind of brown creek water, pumping it to the warehouse, cleaning it up, and let me show you how it comes out. This is how we return it once it's gone through the system, and then I'll show you the system. This is the water leaving our building. So this is all water that's leaving our aquariums. So we pump the water from the creek, clean it up, put it through the aquariums, clean it up again, and then bring it out. So what we're doing is the Department of Environmental Quality loves us because we're actually taking the creek water and making it better. So it comes back to the creek better than it was.
And so this is all the auto water change. This is basically how much water is going through all the aquariums.
Yep, so that's all the water that's leaving our aquariums.
That's a fair amount of water.
Yeah, our permit's for 1 million gallons a day. That's 750 gallons a minute. We don't need that much right now, but once we build the building out completely, then we might need that much.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of flow. So let's take you up inside and we'll show you the guts, I guess. So it's gonna be a little loud, this equipment, but basically we're taking that creek water, which looks kind of brown and stuff, but chemically it's actually pretty nice. Trout live in there and stuff, they thrive in there. It comes up here, it enters our building. This is the pipe it's coming in from. It's pumped out of that gravel well, comes into this pipe, and then into here. Now this is a sediment filter, just like you would use in your house. And we use the same micron as you would use in your house. So it's 5 micron sediment filters, just like for drinking water. So all that, any silt or anything like that that's above 5 microns in size gets caught in here and cleaned out. From there, the water goes through this pipe and it hits this. This odd thing is something that prevents scaling. The water here is really, really hard. And it's 300 parts per million calcium carbonate, which is like Florida hard. And so what this does is it changes the structure of the calcium carbonate molecule so that it doesn't create scaling. Calcium carbonate is normally, it looks like a dandelion head, like a lot of spikes sticking out from a central point. All those little spikes want to stick to like the tiniest crevice or crack, and then once one sticks there, it globs onto all the other calcium carbonate molecules. This, when it runs through here, there's a frequency that alters it, like a radio frequency that bombards those molecules, and it changes the structure so they're like a smooth sheet of rice, like a little grain of rice. Those don't stick to anything. So that's how come we can have really hard water without any of the scaling issues to clog up our equipment and things. Once it leaves there, then it goes into these. These are massive carbon filters. Holy and smokes. What these are for is to make sure our water is chemically clean. So let's say someone upstream from us was using fertilizer, or there was, I don't know, a truck fell over and oil got in the river, something like that. The carbon is here to protect us from that. So we take care of the sediment, we take care of the scaling, we take care of the chemicals. Then after that, it goes through these bad boy UV filters. These are really heavy duty filters. They're way overkill for what we need, we think. But we want these so that if there's any kind of pathogen, disease, virus, bacteria, whatever in the creek, we don't introduce it into our aquarium. So that's how we take care of that. And then it goes to this unit, which is super important for us. This is a heat exchanger, and it allows us to heat the water from the creek without using any electricity or gas to do so. And the way that works is we have warm water leaving the tanks going into this, and we have cold water coming in from the creek going into this unit. And within the unit there's a big baffle matrix system. It kind of looks like the radiator in your car a little bit, and it allows the heat from the warm water to be sucked out and transferred into the cold water. So if the water outside is 32 degrees in the winter, it will leave this unit at about 70 degrees without using any gas or anything to heat it up. So it's very green and environmentally friendly, and it's very friendly on the utility bill.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
Yeah, so we heat the water here to about 70 degrees or so. And then these boilers heat it the rest of the way. We run the system at about 79, 78, upper 70s in there. These boilers will heat it the remaining bit that it needs to be heated. Now right now, the water from the creek is in the high 60s, low 70s. So right now when it leaves the heat exchanger, it's already warm enough. These maybe fire like 3 times a day for 30 seconds just to keep it up. No, they're both.
This one's just not firing?
Yeah. Neither of them are. Oh, this one's running right now at 14%. So it is running just a little bit right now. So it'll run for a few minutes and then it'll go down, and see it's already dropping. So it has to heat just a little bit to keep the warm water leaving the tanks warm enough to keep the exchange going. But during the summer, we hardly need it. After it leaves those, now the water's warm. Then it comes over here. The water goes down all the way here into this 30-foot long monstrosity. These are 18-inch PVC pipes. And the purpose of this, you'll see up there, that lets gas out. And there's another one over here that does the same. And there's another one up there. So what this does, the purpose of this is to slow the water flow down so that the gas that is generated when it's heated, those microbubbles, has a chance to escape. And we're learning as we go. We're figuring out the best way to make that happen. This is our best solution so far. We've already thought of a couple tweaks we need to make to it. Right now it works great, but as the water gets colder this winter, we're going to need to make some tweaks. But so this is a project in progress, but it's something you have to do if you're going to heat water. You have to figure out how to then get the dissolved gas that's coming out and is going to give your fish the bends, basically. You have to figure out how to get that out of the water before it gets to your aquariums.
Basically, if you've ever done a water change and you see all those micro bubbles, that's what this is eliminating?
Yeah, in the winter you'll especially see it when you do a water change. You can get that fine coat of bubbles on all the surfaces.
And then it gets in their gills and sticks to them.
And then you'll see it on the fish. And in fact, often what you're seeing is it's not sticking on the fish, it's being released out of the fish.
Oh, interesting.
The fish has absorbed it, and now it's a bend situation. It's got too much nitrogen or whatever in its system, and so it's coming out of its fins and its body. So it goes both ways, and it can really damage a fish. I've seen it kill fish.
Oh yeah.
So that's what this is for. After this, it leaves, and now it comes through this pipe. It's another big 6-inch pipe, and then we have several 2-inch feeds off that 6-inch that go to each row of aquariums. So all these valves, they're 1/4-inch valves that have the red handles on them. Across each row, that's where the water's coming down into the aquariums. So it's going to come down. Let's just show you one, I guess. So the water comes down and out this 1/4-inch valve, and it never stops. It's continuous flow. So what we're trying to do is basically make it so that the creek outside, it's like each of these tanks is a little piece of that creek, just getting continuous flow. So the water comes in this side, flows through, leaves out this side, and it never goes into another aquarium. It never mixes. Each system is its own system. So should we have a problem, we're not going to spread it around. Let's look over here. You might be able to see it better. Well,
Yeah, I didn't see it.
let's look on the other end. Sorry. So this is the bulkhead. The water drains out of there into this. This is a 4-inch pipe that slopes down, and in the middle of the rack there's a standpipe down that goes under the floor. So all the water is leaving the aquariums and going under this cement pad to flow into this. This is where all that water's collected. I don't know if you can see it, but this is a many thousands of gallons cistern. It's a big cement pool or container underneath the building here that collects all that water. So now the water's gone through the tanks, right? It's been cleaned up, sterilized, gone through the tanks. But now what if our fish have a disease? Or what if our fish have a baby fish that's tiny that gets out of their tanks? We don't want that going to the creek. So let me talk about how we clean it up before we return it to the creek. So out of this cistern, where that can settle detritus and things, this pump pulls it out of the cistern and it goes through this bad boy, which is another sediment filter. So let's say that there's a little baby rice fish or something, I don't know, little baby danio that hatches and flows out of the system and into that cistern. This catches all that. So we don't want to be introducing anything out there. It also catches any sediment or detritus or anything we're generating. So catch all that here. Then that comes out, goes up, and gets to the nuker. So this second UV filter is to clean the water leaving our aquariums. Oh, wow. So if we have a disease in our tanks, or if we have something that gets out, this will kill it before it, gets out to the local waterway. After it's been nuked and sterilized, then it goes to the heat exchanger where the heat is sucked out. Once the heat is sucked out, it comes right over here. And at this point, it's gravity fed through this 10-inch pipe that goes all the way out to that little creek that we built there, that little riprap that returns the water to the creek. So that's the system. Our goal, the reason we did this is we were trying to be, so one way we describe our business is we want to be the place where a fish would decide to go if it could decide which fish store it ended up in. That's kind of how we look at it. How do we make this the best experience possible for a fish, the most humane, the most healthy, all that. And we're by no means perfect. There's still things we need to learn. We still have more losses than I would like, a lot less than the industry standard for certain. We're doing a good job, but we have lofty goals and we're still working towards them. But a big step to getting us there was giving the fish the ultimate environment. So I thought, what's better for fish than constant fresh water? Nothing. Like, constant fresh water is kind of the ticket for fish health. And so then we thought, how do we do that? And there's a local trout farm that kind of inspired us that does the same thing, but they kind of take creek water, divert it to raceways, and then put it right back in the creek. They don't have the filtration or sterilization or any of that because they're doing trout which are already in the creek. So if a trout gets out, it's like, oh, free trout for the creek, right? So we basically took that idea and said, how can we do that same kind of constant flow through that the trout farm's doing, but for tropical warm water aquarium fish? And this is the system we came up with. So we have so much flow that if you notice, we don't have filters in our tanks. And that was a little scary at first, but we've done tests and there is so much water flow that I could put like 30 big food pellets in here and measure ammonia over the course of 24, 48 hours, never get ammonia. It's the flow is just keeping that from happening. So now that's an extreme case. We don't feed that much or anything, but we wanted to take it to the extreme just to make sure that the system could handle it. So we have yet to measure ammonia. So what happens if the creek runs dry or some catastrophe happens when we can't use the creek water? This is our backup system. This is the same system I used in the house and the garage and all that. It's basically, we clean municipal water, we heat it, and then we shoot it out to all the aquariums. So it's a more typical system you'd see in a lot of automated water exchange systems in stores and hobbyist house. So if that ever did go down, this is how we back up. One thing you'll notice is I really hate I've worked in fish stores, geez, on and off throughout my life, and some of them are really stinky, and some of them are really humid, and some of them are really uncomfortable. You might have noticed it's not really humid in here, and it's not stinky or anything like that. So this is the secret to making a place comfortable to work that has a lot of fish and water in it. This is an HRV. It's a heat retention ventilator. What it does is it brings fresh air in from the outside, and it ejects old stale air from inside the building. And in here it has the same kind of system that the water exchanger does, the heat exchanger does. So it takes the heat out of the outgoing air, injects it into the incoming air, so you can get constant fresh air circulating in your fish store without having to heat constant supply of new air with gas or anything like that. So this is a really efficient way to get fresh air in your building without using a bunch in heating costs and in energy as well to do that. This is just powered by a couple fans, and that's all it takes to do it. So we do have an air conditioner, and we do have furnaces and all that stuff to keep the temperatures in the building what we need, but this is why it's comfortable to work in here, even with like so many aquariums with so much water in here.
Yeah, it's definitely not warm and humid like a small fish store or other facilities.
Dehumidifiers are good, but just getting fresh air in your space is the ultimate. So that's how we do it.
Well, thank you for the tour.
Yep.
Dansfish.com.